Hey, what's up you beautiful people? Jules D here and welcome to video 2 in my stopping series. In today's video, I'm going to be introducing you to the 3 most important elements to effective stopping. We're going to be looking at strategy, technique, and appeal. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Jules and I am a face-to-face fundraising specialist. Now, I've simply been obsessed with fundraising for over a decade now. I started my career as a fundraiser working on the streets and in shopping centers, but through the years, I worked my way up to national head and director of face-to-face fundraising for one of the world's largest charities. But through it all, my true passion has always been training and development, helping fundraisers just like you raise more money for causes you love so you can have a bigger impact. In fact, I'm so passionate about this that in the last year and a half, I've stepped away from senior leadership so I can focus on fundraising training and start this channel. Now, if you're looking to up your fundraising game and make a real difference, you're in the right place. Now, before I dive into these 3 elements, we first have to lay one more foundation. Because if we want to get better at stopping and engaging members of the public and getting them to stop and talk to us, we first have to get a greater understanding of why they don't stop in the first place. Armed with this understanding, we can then start to solve for these issues. Now, stopping can be one of the most challenging parts of being a face-to-face fundraiser. Continuously and relentlessly putting yourself out there, sometimes attempting to engage with hundreds of people in a day to only get a few handfuls to stop and talk. And I have a lot of empathy for fundraisers. I still continue to fundraise to this day, so I really know what it's like. And boy, oh boy, on some days it can be so tough. But I'm not sure if you've ever asked yourself why more people don't stop and talk to you. Now, when I speak to fundraisers or people in the public and I ask this question, the answer is typically the same. And that's time. We don't have the time, Jules. We've got places to go, things to do. The inconvenience of having a conversation with a stranger simply isn't on the priority list. Now, I certainly think this is a big reason, but is it really the main reason? Now, I don't think so. If we think about the options that we're giving people when we're asking them to stop and talk to us, we're essentially asking them to make a decision over one of 2 options. Firstly, they can say no. They can carry on with their day as planned, no interruptions, no inconvenience. This is a very simple and a very easy choice to make. The second is to say yes. Now, this is not nearly as easy. This involves having a conversation with someone they don't know. They don't know our character, they don't know our temperament, they don't know how we're going to approach them. They might have had a bad experience in the past with a salesperson or even a fundraiser. They might know and anticipate that we're going to ask them for money, and this might make them feel very uncomfortable. All in all, this is not only inconvenient, but it's really uncomfortable for a lot of people. So yes, time and convenience is certainly a big part of it. But I think discomfort is the main reason people don't stop and talk to us. And this pretty well sums up the human condition. We're all trying to run towards and cling to things that are going to bring us pleasure, and we're trying to get away from things that are going to bring us discomfort. So I don't think we can ever make stopping to talk to us the most convenient or the most comfortable thing that people can do. But if we think of it as a dial, what we want to do is make a whole bunch of small changes to the way that we approach our stopping to make it easier, to make it more convenient, and to make it more comfortable. So how do we do this? Well, firstly, we want to make stopping to talk to us as easy and as friction-free as possible. Human beings generally take the path of least resistance, so if we can remove some of the resistance that often we're creating in our stopping practice, we will find that people are much more likely to stop and talk to us. Now, we take care of this ease and convenience piece by looking at strategy and technique. Next, though, we also need to look at comfort. Now, we make it more comfortable for people to engage with us by becoming more appealing. I call this appeal or attraction. Now, this has nothing to do with your physical appearance. This is not about your hair, your nails. This might be a bit about your hygiene, so make sure you take care of that. But no, what I'm talking about here is our mindset, our attitudes, and our internal states. These are the things that make engaging with us more comfortable and attractive. So through the rest of this video, I'm going to be unpacking the basic ideas behind strategy, technique, and appeal. And then in the upcoming videos, I'm going to take a deeper dive into each. However, if you're keen to get started right away, be sure to stay till the end of this video where I'm going to be sharing some simple ideas that'll help you get started. So strategy considers everything from the speed and pace of the environment to how much noise and distraction there is, what sort of people are there, how much time they have, is the space wide and open, is it quite narrow? Even things like where you're facing, or if you have a podium and banner and materials, which way those materials are facing. The main point here is that you can't approach the same location, the same venue, the same spaces in the same way. Now, you probably have locations and venues that you prefer. Now, these venues aren't necessarily easier than any others, but they probably suit your common strategy. The strategy that you've developed over time and that you usually employ. And what I find is that fundraisers who have a common strategy that they usually use, are okay when they're in sites that suit that strategy, but then as soon as they move to a new site, new location, or somewhere different, they find it more challenging. Now, for me, one of the hallmarks are an effective and consistent fundraiser are fundraisers that take the personal responsibility to adapt their style to meet the location, and more importantly, to meet the needs of the people there. So technique is different from strategy. While strategy is really more about the decisions you make that guide your actions, technique is about the specific actions you take. As you know, stopping well is way more than just standing, waving, saying hi, and asking people to engage you as they walk by. Stopping technique covers everything from the point at which you first make contact with potential donors to the way that you identify those donors, and very importantly, the signals that we give off, right? Our body language, our tone of voice, and the words we choose to use. In the upcoming video, I'm really excited to share with you a model that I've developed over the years. I call it the art of the stop. And this model covers the 7 key points in perfecting your stopping strategy. So for appeal, I said becoming more appealing and attractive to engage with has got to do with your mindset, your attitude, and your state of being. This is one of the most important principles in not just stopping, but fundraising altogether, and one that I think is far too often overlooked. Now, it's going to be hard for me to explain this fully in this short video, but put it this way. Would you rather and would you like to engage with someone who's feeling bored, perhaps anxious, needy, maybe even a bit self-conscious? Is this person attractive to engage with? Are you drawn to this person? Or do you try and avoid these types of people? My guess is the latter. Now, as a human species, we actually know on a subconscious level that states of being are infectious, right? Positive and negative, and we generally don't want to be around people who are in a negative state of being. Yes, we're sometimes around those people, but they're usually family and friends and people that we want to support. But in the public, if somebody is in a negative space or someone we don't know, we generally try and avoid them. Now, I perfectly understand why we don't always feel great and we get into these negative states. I've been there too many times to count, so I really do understand it. But what I will say is if you aren't working hard at staying in a positive state, you're not only making it less likely that people will stop and engage with you, but you're actually actively repelling people from engaging. This is probably the most important and perhaps the most challenging of these 3 elements. Now, in this short video, I'm not going to be able to share with you all the tools and strategies for shifting your internal state, and I very well know you can't be a beaming ray of light every moment of every day. But what I will say is if you work hard at cultivating and maintaining a positive and powerful mindset and attitude, you are not only going to make your job a heck of a lot more enjoyable, but you will see your fundraising results improve massively. Mindset and attitude is one of my favorite topics, and so you can be sure I'm going to be covering a lot more in upcoming videos. So I have a lot more to share in each of these 3 areas, and that's why I'm dedicating a separate video to each. In these upcoming videos, I'm going to be exploring practical tools, tips, methods, and even my favorite models for developing these skills masterfully. But earlier on, I promised that I'd give you some ideas to get you started. So here's an overall focus for each of these areas. So for strategy, what I recommend is next time you go out to a location, a venue, stop and pause before you get started, and perhaps do this through the day. Look at the environment, think about the space that you're in, think about the people that are there, why they're there, and just think about how you can perhaps meet some of their needs. Is it a faster paced environment? Sort of a thoroughfare, people are coming and going. Do they need a shorter, more punchy version of your pitch? Is it loud and distracting? Do you need to be a bit more assertive with your energy and perhaps with your projection of your voice to get people's attention? Or is it quieter? Is it more laid back? Do people have more time? Perhaps you can spend more time on rapport. Perhaps you need to chill your energy down to match the people there. So you're not going to know the perfect approach for each location. But I can guarantee you that if you stop and pause and start to think about the responsibility you have, the changes you can make, and how you can actually meet people's needs, you will become a more consistent and a more effective fundraiser for sure. So for technique, I suggest you first of all think about the signals that you're giving off. What messages you're giving off with your words, with your tone of voice, and with your body language. Now, one recommendation I can give you is both a book and a channel on YouTube. The book is a book called Cues. It's written by a lady called Vanessa Van Edwards. Now, this book is all about charismatic and influential communication. And she talks all about these three areas. She calls them, rather than signals, she calls them cues. She also has a brilliant YouTube channel called The Science of People. Now, if you haven't already, do check it out. It is a phenomenal resource for anyone who wants to be more influential with their communication, and particularly for fundraisers, it's absolute gold. And finally, for appeal. Now, what I recommend you do about your mindset, your internal state, is take the time to think about not only how you can keep yourself in a positive place, but also how you can cultivate in the first place. This is probably one of the biggest gifts you can give yourself, because it doesn't just affect your fundraising, it affects every space and every sphere of your life. And the one recommendation I can give you is a morning routine. Now, we've known this for a long time anecdotally, but now we know this through some really interesting studies that have been done. But the way that you start your day is often a big determinant of the way that it's going to unfold. So build a morning routine. There's loads of resources out there. Things like don't go on your phone first thing. Don't check the news. Don't think of social media. Don't mull on all your problems and all your issues. But get out of the bed and do some activity, right? Some yoga, some stretching. Go for a walk. Do an intensive HIIT exercise routine if that's your thing. Do some gratitude journaling. Do some meditation. Do some prayer. If you're really extreme, try an ice bath. These are all phenomenal ways to get you going right in the morning. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you found this video informative and helpful in your fundraising journey. And if you like this content, be sure to stay tuned, because I'm going to be bringing you loads more exciting content on all things face-to-face fundraising related. And if you haven't already, subscribe, like, and hit that bell notification so that you get notified as soon as new videos come out. Don't forget to leave a comment with your questions, your thoughts, and your ideas for future videos. I love to hear from fundraisers, and I'm going to do my best to respond to every comment I possibly can. Until next time, stay inspired and keep fundraising.